Albanian criminal gangs have become a prominent force in the UK's criminal underworld, gradually evolving from mere smugglers to one of the most influential drug suppliers in the country. Over the past 15 years, these groups have learned from their established criminal counterparts, transitioning from violence-based operations to sophisticated networks built on alliances and efficient drug distribution strategies. According to the National Crime Agency, these Albanian gangs control a significant portion of the UK cocaine market, generating profits that total around £6 billion annually, a figure corroborated by the British Home Office. Welcome back to Crime Chronicles. Stay tuned as we look at how and why Albanian gangs have become the dominant drug suppliers in the UK, and reveal how their approach is also costing many gang members their freedom. One of the key tactics that has enabled Albanian gangs to grow so rapidly in the UK is their involvement in the creation and expansion of so-called county lines. These drug distribution networks extend from large cities to more rural and coastal areas, allowing the easy flow of narcotics across the country. Albanian groups are not the only ones using these networks. Local and foreign criminal organizations also take advantage of them, but they have certainly been one of the most successful in doing so. In October of 2021 alone, British authorities conducted a series of raids that resulted in the arrest of 1,468 individuals, the seizure of drugs and cash worth over £2 million, and the confiscation of 49 firearms, demonstrating the extent of the drug trade and criminal activity. The financial cost of organised crime to the UK economy is staggering. Government data indicates that it costs the country around £37 billion annually, but this estimate likely underrepresents the true scale of the problem, as it excludes laundered money that re-enters the legitimate economy through the sale of goods and other means. The roots of Albanian criminal organisations in the UK can be traced back to the Kosovo War of the late 1990s. The war displaced over 1 million people, and many Kosovars fled to Albania before seeking refuge in other European countries, including the UK. According to British investigators, some of the asylum seekers who reached the UK during this period were actually Albanians, posing as Kosovars to receive preferential treatment. Over time, these migrants formed tightly knit Albanian-speaking communities across Europe, including in the UK. These communities, originally made up of refugees, became fertile ground for recruitment by Albanian criminal organisations. These gangs found recruits among marginalised new arrivals, who were often struggling financially and working in poorly paid sectors like agriculture and construction. Lured by the promise of quick money, many became involved in the cocaine trade, prostitution, and human trafficking. Albanian crime bosses, primarily based in Tirana, Albania's capital, have used these illicit businesses to build their criminal empires. What sets Albanian criminal organisations apart from their British counterparts is their patience and long-term strategy. Tony Sagers, a former head of the NCA's anti-drug unit, notes that while British drug dealers often prioritise making quick profits, Albanians make a more calculated approach. They have learned that profit margins in the drug trade are high enough that they can lower cocaine prices significantly without sacrificing quality, a tactic that has allowed them to undercut competitors and gain a strong foothold in the UK market. The UK's drug market is one of the largest in Europe, generating an estimated €30 billion in profits alone annually. A decade ago, a kilogram of cocaine sold for around €40,000, but by the time of the COVID-19 pandemic, the price had dropped to below £30,000, partly due to the influence of Albanian gangs. These organisations have not only dominated the UK market, but have also made inroads into Latin America, where they have established contacts in major drug-producing countries like Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Panama. By purchasing cocaine for around $4,000 per kilogram in Latin America and selling it for €30,000 a kilo once it reaches Europe, they have built a highly profitable transcontinental operation. Albanian criminal organizations have also infiltrated key European ports such as Rotterdam, Antwerp, and Algeciras. These ports are vital entry points for cocaine shipments into Europe, and Albanian gangs have placed collaborators in strategic positions within port authorities to help them bypass security checks. Despite these efforts, law enforcement agencies occasionally score major victories. In April of 2021, for example, Belgian authorities intercepted 27 tons of cocaine from South America, which would have been worth over €800 million on the street. These gangs employ several ingenious methods to smuggle drugs. According to sagas, one common tactic involves concealing cocaine in shipments of products like bananas, pineapples, or dried fruit. Another technique, known as the system, involves hiding drugs in refrigerated containers with false bottoms that are welded shut after the cocaine is placed inside. This method is used to avoid detection by customs officials. Yet another strategy, called the rip-off, involves placing cocaine in suitcases or bags behind the doors of shipping containers, which are then retrieved either at sea or at port stops. Although Albanian criminal groups often use ports in the Netherlands and Germany to bring cocaine into the UK, they also employ other methods, such as using yachts to transport drugs directly to British shores. In one case, 2 British nationals from Liverpool were intercepted off the coast of Wales with a shipment of cocaine worth £60 million. Despite their growing presence in the UK, Albanian gangs have avoided the violent turf wars that have plagued other criminal groups. Sagas notes that when these groups first arrived in the UK, many expected them to clash with established criminal organisations. Instead, Albanian groups have adopted a more diplomatic approach, positioning themselves as reliable cocaine suppliers while also demanding respect from their competitors. While older generations of Albanian criminals prefer to keep a low profile, a new wave of Albanian gangs has emerged, flaunting their wealth and power on social media. One such gang, known as Albanians, operates out of Barking in East London. They post pictures online of luxury cars, expensive watches, and stacks of cash, all while concealing their identities behind balaclavas. Albanians has already seen several of its members sentenced to prison, including one leader, Tristan Aslani, who was given 25 years for drug trafficking and firearms offences in 2016. Sagas believes that this flashy, attention-seeking behaviour could lead to a future where Albanian gangs in the UK become more violent, especially if conflicts arise between the older, more discreet generation and the younger, more brazen one. While the media has sometimes exaggerated the extent of Albanian control over the UK drug market, Albanian gangs are undeniably a significant force. The UK Ministry of Justice reports that about 1,500 Albanians are currently incarcerated in England and Wales, making them the largest group of foreign prisoners in the country. One of the major challenges in combating Albanian organised crime is tracking the vast sums of money that these gangs launder through seemingly legitimate businesses such as car washes. These establishments serve as both money laundering operations and recruitment centres for new members. The ability of Albanian gangs to hide their assets, combined with their connections to international criminal networks, makes them a formidable adversary for law enforcement agencies in the UK and beyond. Thank you for joining us today on Crime Chronicles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel with your friends.